I am Lequita Brooks, your social impact speaker and strategist here at Social Impact Sundays at 6. We have an absolutely positively amazing guest today. She is a clinical social worker. She has a social enterprise. She's rocking her shirts today, the whole 9 yards. We have Keisha Atlee. Welcome, Keisha.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here today. This is so great.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I just cannot wait to get into it. Like, tell me more about your vision, your mission. Like, you have this huge, like, thing that you're doing when it comes to restoring humanity and society and just all the things because, I don't know what happens to humanity. I don't know if it was social media or what, but tell me about you, what you're doing, what's going on.
Yeah, if I could sum it up in a shirt, I would probably say something like the last time I checked, kindness is still free, right? And I feel like, social workers have this huge responsibility as like the missionaries of humanity and society. Like we are the architects of civility. We are the people that say, hey, you know what? It's not just this one thing. Let's look at person and environment. Let's like look at people from a whole systems perspective, everything that's going on. And the world loves to push things like it's mental health, it's self-care, it's burnout, it's this and it's that. And it's like, yeah, it's all of it, right? It's the environment. It's, everything that we're doing that contributes or does not contribute to human flourishing. And I feel like social workers were called, commission created to be the individuals that are supposed to, again, ensure that society is civil, that it's harmonious, right? That people can live and function at their highest possible, ability. That's what we're supposed to do. And right. And that's also the vision of, the mission of social work, especially if you're talking from an NASW perspective, right? The code of ethics. So my thing is looking at the world today and my contribution to human flourishing and wanting other social workers to really see our role is, I came up with urban affiliates. And again, our mission is to train and mobilize human services helpers, but specifically social workers to be the leaders of moral resilience to restore humanity and society, right? It's a huge responsibility, but if you look at the work that we do every day, the way that we serve as public servants, as helpers, the way that we answer the call, that is what we're doing. We are in every sector of society. We belong in every sector of society. We belong as leaders, right? If we think about every major movement that has occurred in society, there's a social worker behind it. I always say, you tell me about a social problem, I bet you there's a gazillion social workers coming up with the solutions to it, right? And so I just really believe that it's so important for us to take like our rightful space back in terms of, again, restoring humanity, right? Making sure that we live in a civil world. If you look at other disciplines, they don't have that focus. They have very narrow focuses on how they approach human functioning or well-being. We are the only ones that do it holistically. I think our sociology brothers and sisters are probably the closest, right? But, we are the ones that are really responsible for, leading the charge, and I really want to, encourage social workers to really understand, how we need to face these challenges, understand how important we are, take our rightful spaces back to lead this charge. That's it in a nutshell. I guess it's so much to say, so much to break down, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, like you said a lot, like taking the lead, because like you said, social workers look at things from a holistic standpoint. And even with what you're doing, this vision, this mission, how you're implementing it, training and mobilizing, this is something that's completely breaking down and dismantling what social workers are deemed as or who they are or what they do. Like, I'm absolutely loving this. So tell me more about the business aspects, working with corporations and their social responsibility initiatives and sponsorship opportunities and things of that nature to really help with boots on the ground aspects of actually mobilizing this initiative. And let's not forget getting the merch out to remind people. you know,
Right. And so, yeah, that is exactly why I started with the merchandise line. It's about raising awareness, wearing something that means something. And whenever I'm teaching students or novice, generalist social workers about the practice of social work, the first thing we talk about is the CSWE core competency of professional identity. I always ask in every training that I facilitate, what's the difference between a social worker and a well-meaning individual? It's professional integrity, and that incorporates so many things. But we as social workers need to be able to identify who we are and what we do. And that's why I started with this particular sweatshirt that I designed, and I'll show it to you more in a little bit. But it really states, like, we are very highly skilled individuals, and we fought for our profession to be able to be recognized even when other disciplines were fighting against it. And so it's so important for us to be able to identify who we are, the skills that we have, and why everybody can't just say, oh yeah, I do social work. No, we are very skilled. We have a set skill set. Everybody can't do what we do. They love to imitate, but they cannot duplicate, right? And so this merchandise line is a way for social workers and human services helpers to represent what we do, for us to say, here's who we are. We are the leaders of moral resilience, understand our skill set, respect our skill set, and of course, help to initiate that, pay us what we're worth, but also celebrating, like, we are the solution to society's greatest challenges. So I have a whole merchandise line that talks about and speaks to the skill set and, how we are supporting, we are the backbone of society. And so that is why I started with that merchandise line. It's raising social awareness. It's communicating messages that matter. It's wearing something that means something, and then taking the funds that are raised from selling the merchandise and putting it back into the social programs, such as our mission trips, where we allow people to engage in traveling abroad internationally to understand from a more global perspective, participate in social well-being, how to contribute to human flourishing, and not just from our westernized perspective. And understanding, there's a whole movement to decolonize mental health treatment, which is very important. But really, again, if we're going to be person and environment, we've got to be able to see, again, globally, how are we responsible for restoring humanity? How can we borrow from and learn from other cultures and perspectives in order to do this? And so we do our mission trips, right? And it's also an opportunity to see that you can make a difference. Oftentimes here, in the States, in the work that we do, people get burned out because they feel like they're not really making a difference. There's all these bureaucratic issues, et cetera, et cetera. And, you can go to Ghana and take $900, and that can help a woman, pay for her entire education and start a business, right? I have a colleague, and she tells me these stories of doing that. And I was like, I'm going with you. And so now we have a whole mission trip that we're doing to Ghana in March. We want to help stop trauma, that girls and young women are experiencing. And so just seeing that the slightest bit that we do can have a huge impact somewhere else can be very encouraging, right? And being able to explore, historical issues from a different perspective, to be able to then bring that back here and incorporate that into the work that they're doing. So just offering individuals and larger institutions that have, human services helpers and public servants, social workers working for them, that opportunity as well to be able to engage in difference making on a different level. So that's the purpose of our mission trips. But also here locally in Baltimore, I'm doing support groups for women and men that are returning to the community from incarceration, right? And we're helping them to learn about relational intelligence, to give them, a better foundation towards being able to relate to people, realign people in their lives so that they can be able to be, in charge of, their lives. And so that's something that we then take funds from the merchandise and put it back into those community programs as well. And allowing, again, human services helpers to participate, volunteer in those opportunities to serve.
One of the biggest things you said that ties it all together is us taking accountability in our role for how humanity is and how we can improve our society. And like you said, yes, there are some corporations with millions and billions of dollars, and they can probably have a larger impact, but even on a smaller level, all of us can still get involved, even if it's just the $10 or $15, or something to go buy some water, go buy a blanket. There's something that we all can do to contribute to enhancing the quality of life of individuals.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this is that, you know, every purchase will contribute to these social programs, right? But at the same time, it's celebrating who we are and the work that we're doing. And so my thing is, I use everyday purposeful items. So whether it's tissue boxes that I've designed that have messages about social work, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's a pen that says never forget why you started, I have all of these different things, post-its, you know, all of these things that we use every day that are on our desks, or you know, things that we're using as we go throughout our day that speak to what we do and our service that we provide, the difference that we're making. It's a reminder to us, and it's a reminder to others. And so that's why I choose those specific items. And again, wearing shirts where, you know, or you know, different pieces of apparel where you can make a statement and wear something that means something.
Yeah, so helping the helper and also helping them to remember why did you start? Because sometimes it can be somewhat stressful. They might experience burnout. And a lot of times when you're the helper, you're giving and giving and giving, and sometimes you might not be replenishing. So all those things, the products, the t-shirts are all helpful. So how can individuals, social workers, corporations go and purchase your merchandise? Where did it go?
So my website is yourpurposepartners.com. And so our merchandise will be made available there. I recently created a specific website through Jotform. And so I decided we're going to do limited edition releases. So the next opportunity to purchase will be during Social Work Month, and it'll be on yourpurposepartners.com. I decided that doing limited edition would be better. So during Social Work Month will be the next opportunity for people to purchase. Most recently, I was at the Kennedy Krieger Biennial Trauma Conference, and then also at a National Association of Social Worker Maryland Social Work Conference selling the merchandise. And so it will be available again during Social Work Month. And we'll also be doing a week-long activities for social workers to help beat burnout. We did 3 days last month of beat burnout on LinkedIn Live, helping social workers understand how to beat burnout. And we're going to be doing that again and during Social Work Month, a week long of Take 10. And so that I'm looking forward to that. So just really doing those, you know, special events and, you know, putting everything up on my website and on my social media, building that up, but that's how people can purchase.
Yes, so special events coming up, limited edition apparel, loving all of that. So, what advice would you give to an aspiring social worker, or even just to change the global narrative of how social workers are viewed, whether it's within the profession or with different employers, organizations? Just, what would you say to them?
I think the most important thing starts with us and our own professional integrity. I push that professional integrity. If you look it up, there's this workbook called the Social Work Workbook. And I have like the edition from like early 2000s from when I was an undergrad, but that workbook really speaks to how you break down professional integrity, whether it's continuous learning, acceptance of others, you know, learning about yourself, your honesty, your ethical presence. All of those things are so important. We have to have professional integrity and demonstrate that, or we are going to lose the respect of our profession overall, especially right now with what's going on with licensing. And, you know, several states have already removed the licensure exam. We understand that there's some disparities in the testing. However, I do also think that it's so important for us to have some standards of competence. And I'm glad that that's up for reassessment, because it's easy to tell people be competent, but we don't have a good strong definition of that. And I think our profession needs that, again, to fight for what we've did over 40 years ago in terms of being able to be licensed, credentialed individuals. Here in Maryland, we are considered licensed healthcare professionals, and taking that seriously, right? It's not just, I want to help people. Forget about that, because people may not want the help the way that you want to give it, is what I always teach people. So professional integrity, really understanding your unique discontent, as you were describing to me earlier when we were talking, what you are uniquely discontent about. Go grab my pastor's book, Your Purpose is Calling. Amazing book to help you understand. And here's the thing, don't try to do everything. Do what you were called to do. Figure that out. Social workers, you know, there's another book, Unfaithful Angels. We all started trying to go into private practice. We don't belong there. I'm going to be doing a video soon on why social workers don't make great counselors. We make better case managers. And people have an aversion to case management, but guess what? That's who we are. We need to be able to embrace that. That's who we are. It's not a bad thing to do case management because that speaks to person and environment. So I need people to get out of that private practice mode. I know that they're burnt out from being in bureaucratic environments, but professional integrity, finding your unique discontent, which then will help you find your purpose, and stop trying to go into private practice because we don't belong there, right? We didn't go for years and years and years of school like counselors did to become professional counselors. And it's not that we don't belong in the clinical world, but I think it's a version of escapism for social workers. And so we need to get back to our roots, right? We are responsible for humanity and we need to come back there. We can do the mental health stuff and make the bucks. Yes, I get it, people. I understand, the attraction, but we need to come on back, because if we don't, we're going to lose our profession, because other professions that specify and, really develop that expertise in counseling are going to say, see, they're just imposters. And so that's the best advice I would do. And especially for people coming out of graduate school, like, don't just try to drop into doing outpatient mental health, because the clinics are going to pick you up because they want to make the money, but you may not get the best training in terms of clinical social work and actually doing psychotherapy. So I could go on and on and on about that, because I'm trying to bring us all back to like the real mission of social work. But that's what I would say. Professional integrity, find your unique discontent, which leads to your purpose. And, don't just jump right into trying to do psychotherapy. Come on back to real social work.
Let's get back to the roots. Let's get back to
Yes,
the roots.
please, the movement. That's why when I saw your social movement, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for my entire career. Come on.
Oh my goodness. I thank you so much, Keisha. Like, you dropped so many gems, so many nuggets, tons of resources. Like, oh my goodness. I thank you for joining me so much on this edition of the Social Work Movement, which is part of Social Impact Sundays at 6. I am Lequita Brooks, your host and social impact speaker and strategist. If you have any upcoming speaking engagements, make sure you book me at booklequita.com. Thank you again, Keisha. And until next time.
Thank you for being amazing.